Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Revelation chapter 8, verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And that great star from heaven burning like a lamp is speaking of nuclear missiles, which are going to be shot, to the ends of the earth during World War III, which, we're quickly approaching. And, in some cases, you can say we're already in the beginning stages of it. And that third part of the rivers and, upon the fountains of waters is speaking of these nuclear missiles hitting wherever, the Edomites or these so-called white people dwell. Because according to the scriptures, you have three classifications of people. You have the sons of God, who are the children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. You have the sons of men, which are the heathen nations outside of the Edomites, such as the Moabites or the so-called Chinese, the Ishmaelites or the so-called Arabs, the Hamites, the so-called Africans, etc., etc. And then you have the third part, the sons of the wicked, who are the Edomites. And, while missiles are going to be hitting everywhere, they're especially going to hit everywhere the Edomites dwell. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And wormwood means bitter. So what's that talking about? That fallout, that nuclear radiation, affecting the waters, affecting the environment, and, people, getting radiation sickness and dying if they didn't get killed by the initial missiles. Verse 12, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, and the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And that's not talking about the literal sun or the moon getting hit by nuclear missiles. The sun and the moon in the scriptures can be symbolic for knowledge and wisdom. And when these nuclear missiles hit, that's going to be the end of Esau's knowledge and wisdom. His sun and moon, taking hold of these people on the face of the earth. His so-called theory of evolution, his pseudosciences, etc., etc. Verse 13, and I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, 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 or destruction, destruction, destruction to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. And those three woes go into the three world wars. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe, or World War I, is past, and behold, there come two woes more. World War II, which is past, and World War III, which is upon us. And, as we read in Revelation chapter 8, it will go nuclear. Which brings me to this video on Full Spectrum Survival's YouTube channel, which I used in a previous video the other day, titled, Warning, Americans Under Attack in Your City. Here we go. And, this video had a lot of good information in it to where, I just wanted to break it up into at least two videos. The first video I used it with was dealing with, civil unrest and rampant crime that's quickly coming to the United States of America. And, in the second video, dealing with nuclear war, which is coming as well. And I'm going to start it at the 6-minute mark and play it for about a minute. And again, this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
The Pentagon has a new nightmare, they say. It will be 3 simultaneous nuclear crisis events. Officials say...
And hey, that's highly spiritual. What do we go into in Revelation 8 and Revelation 9? 3 woes. And, you know, the Pentagon is warning of 3 possible, nuclear events.
There's going to be a scenario that comes up when Russia attacks a NATO country, when China invades Taiwan, and when North Korea strikes South Korea, all while America is continually driven into multiple conflicts across the world. This new nightmare scenario is a simultaneous nuclear crisis. They say that when this happens, all bets are off, and you better be able to get into a bunker or somewhere safe, or just hope that you're not in a place of detonation. In response, the current administration is preparing to expand America's deployed nuclear forces. This is after they spent decades reducing our ability to fight off an enemy.
And what do we see, especially during Donald Trump's presidency? The U.S. and Russia back out of a lot of these nuclear weapons, peace treaties and missile bans. That's because peace is not the will of the Most High in these times. The will of the Most High is for war, World War III, and for nuclear missiles to be used.
Potential buildup starting as early as 2026, and they are getting ready for something new to happen. 35%.
They're getting ready for that third woe. But that's it with that clip. Let's get back to these precepts. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10, and the header reads, "A new heaven and earth. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise." And in the scriptures, heaven and hell can be symbolic for a condition. Heaven when you're in rulership, and hell when you're in captivity, which the children of Israel are currently living in their hell, being second-class citizens and, subject to payments under these heathen nations, chiefly the Edomites, while these heathens, and at the top of them, Esau, is living in their heavens. Well, when these nuclear missiles fire and hit, the third part of men, everywhere these Edomites dwell, that's going to be the beginning of the passing away of Esau, Edom's heaven, and the beginning of his hell. Because in the midst of those nukes in World War III, Yahushua, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, is going to be saving his elect and making war against these heathens, chiefly Esau as well. Read Isaiah 63. "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra?" And then after, the nuclear destruction, after the dust settles, so to speak, Yahushua and the 144,000 who are going to have spiritual powers, who are fishers of men right now, prophesying on the highways and byways, as well as putting video epistles online, are going to be hunters in those days. And they're going to begin rounding up the surviving heathens, beginning with the elites, such as your Rothschilds and your Rockefellers, who are going to survive this destruction by going into those bunkers and slapping cold iron chains on them so they can begin the first day, or the first 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven, building it up, being in hardcore bondage and slavery, the beginning of their hell. "And the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up." And what's going to melt the elements with fervent heat and burn up the works in the earth? Those nuclear missiles shot to the ends of the earth. "Seeing that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness?" He's speaking to the hopeful elect right now. What manner should you be in? "Looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of the Most High." We should be diligently hastening for these things to come to pass, because once the MOTB in Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18 is mandatorily implemented, that nuclear destruction and the culmination of World War III is going to come shortly thereafter. And what? The salvation and the beginning of our heavens, the beginning of ruling in the kingdom of heaven, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. This is Joel chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 1 to 6. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, which is what the men of the Lord, the fishers, are doing right now, prophesying this word, letting the hopeful elect, know what times they're in and what they need to do, what manner of persons they ought to be in to prepare themselves for this coming destruction, and, receive salvation, and then telling, the wicked of our people that don't want to get right and these heathens of this ultimate judgment to come for, their rebellion and wickedness. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Speaking of those nuclear missiles, because they came about very recently, beginning with those 2 atomic bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima during World War II, that second woe. And then, when these nations go to shoot their nukes, every single one is going to be fired. And then afterwards, hey, that's when Yahweh and the 144,000 are going to begin enslaving the remaining heathens. And, Abarat Azam of that number. We're not going to allow you to build weapons of war anymore. A fire devoureth before them, that warhead at the front of the missile, and behind them a flame burneth, the rocket booster at the back. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them. The land looks like you see today, with cities and forests and people going about living their wicked lives. And behind them, a desolate wilderness, a wasteland like Mad Max or Fallout, with that wormwood, that bitterness, that nuclear radiation out here. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. And, when you hear, if you were to hear like a fleet of, those old school chariots with the horses coming towards you, it would sound like a great, noise. And those missiles are going to make a great noise when they're being fired. Verse 6, before their face the people shall be much pained. The people in pains and torments, hearing those sirens going off and, seeing those missiles coming and knowing that there's no escape from them. All faces shall gather blackness or ash or soot. These people getting burnt to a crisp by these nuclear missiles. Now I'm going to close it out in Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So it's speaking of the nation of Israel and you heathens. And at the head of that list, as pursuant to Psalms 83, you Edomites have come against, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, the children of Israel. And, like I said at the beginning of the video, everywhere these Edomites dwell are going to get hit by nukes. But, a lot of Edomites are going to, die, but a lot are going to survive to go into slavery, except in the United States of America, which is, as well as the land of Israel as well, where those Amalekite Edomites, those small hats are staying in. But, that land will be inhabited again. But as for America, it's going to be turned into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards, where man, woman, or child is never going to set foot on ever again. But, those people, including our people, outside of the elect in America, hey, this is the plague that's coming to you. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. by fire, these people getting, gathering blackness, getting destroyed by these nuclear missiles. And the perfect visualization for this is, of course, that dream that Sarah Connor had in Terminator 2, where she was literally standing on her feet when those nukes hit, and her skin burnt off of her skeleton, her eyes out of her sockets, and, her tongue out of her mouth. But, that's it with this video. And hey, you're hearing more and more in the news about what? The talks of nuclear weapons being used and these different major nations building back up their nuclear arsenals, because these are the times we're coming in, the times of the end, the last days, the end of the age of the heathens, chiefly Esau, before the ushering in of the new heavens, the kingdom of heaven, that eternal rulership of the children of Israel. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. And as always, I'm going to say, Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.